Hey everyone, my name is Katie Sweetman, and I'm an astrologer and psychic medium here in Brooklyn, New York. And this is our weekly look at the astrology, this live look at the astrology of August 3rd through 9th, 2020. So, yes, welcome to August. And if you missed your August horoscopes, I put the link in the show notes so you can read your August horoscopes after the end of this broadcast. If you are listening to the replay, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on IGTV, you can always go to my website, empoweringastrology.com, and read your horoscopes as well as other astrological content. So yes, hello Laura, hello everybody else that's watching. If you're watching live, do pop in and say hello. What I said in my last week's update is that I can't travel right now, which is like breaking my Sagittarius rising heart. So I got to travel through you all. So I know some of you are in Australia, some of you are in Italy, which I was supposed to be this week. Some of you are here in the United States with me. So do say hello. Let's sort of check in this week. I think that it's really important, just to kind of introduce myself to those who don't know who I am. Like, the way that I look at astrology is as a tool. It's a tool for us to better understand ourselves, to understand what's the potential, what is our possible path, and also what's in the way. And how do we use astrology to empower ourselves, to create something better for ourselves, to also do the work too, because of course we have to do our work. The way that I see astrology is that there's the planets, and this is why you all could be having a very similar experience, even though we're all different people, but you're going to experience kind of the nuances of this astrology through your own sort of filter. The filter of your past, the filter of your unconscious, the filter of your traumas. So how do we work on that filter? And that's what we do every week, and that's what we do with this astrology. And I know the astrology of 2020 has not been easy, but it's giving us an opportunity to work on that filter. So that filter that gets in the way of us being able to create and express our highest potential. Anyway, side note, let's look at the astrology this week. Speaking of working on our filter, this filter of, like I said, our emotions, our unconscious, our blind spots, the things that we're not seeing, the things that hold us back. Well, this is what happens when we have a full moon. We have a full moon today in Aquarius. This full moon is at 11 degrees of Aquarius and Leo. It's in Leo because Leo is Aquarius's opposite sign. Yes, full moons are always in the sign opposite of the sun. Little quick astronomy lesson. And this full moon highlights this interesting polarity that exists between Leo and Aquarius. Now we're in Leo season. So Leo season is all about the self, all about the discovery of self, the expression of self, the self of creativity, the self of identity and personality, the self of talent and art, but also what is it that the spark that is within all of us. And this is the spark that we see in our own astrology, where our own sun is located when we are born. That's where that spark sort of shines its light through. This is why you're like, well, I'm not a Leo, but you have a sun. Leo is the sign of the sun. And this is the season when the sun returns back home to the sign that it's in. So we need to have fun. We need to play. We need to shine like the sun. We need to get back in touch with what our passions are, what sort of lights us up, what sort of turns us on. So this is Leo season, and of course we're all going to do it in our own way, but this is how you express, I'm a Scorpio, but I have Jupiter in Leo, so I do Leo very big, for example. But the sort of the polarity that exists between Leo and Aquarius. Now, if we're spending this season really discovering who we are and having the courage and the confidence to be ourselves. Then the Leo full moon is a reminder, well, what do we do with it? Do we take our talents, we take our abilities, do we take ourselves, and do we put it out there in the world? Aquarius is a sign that talks about the world, but the world in sort of these systems and networks and communities and the social systems, social networks that we're a part of. But Aquarius is the group. Leo is the individual. So how do we find that natural balance between expressing who we are and sort of being in the passion and the play and the joy of who we are, but also knowing that we are connected to each other. Those who are watching are 8 billion people on this planet. We are all part of the whole. We're all part of unity. So we need to find that really healthy balance between the self, but also the needs of others, the needs of the group, the needs of the collective, the needs of humanity. I actually wrote about this full moon in my full moon report. You can click on the show notes afterwards to read it, or you can go to my website, empoweringastrology.com, to kind of read a little bit more in depth about what this full moon is. But as we sort of walk this duality between the self and the group, here and sort of the needs of humanity right now, Aquarius, by the way, is social justice, social equity, social causes, sort of the things that affect all of us, not just individuals or smaller groups. It affects all of us. And when Saturn was in Aquarius, when we had that preview from March until July 1st, we saw a lot of really powerful collective humanitarian themes come to the forefront. So this full moon, in a way, touches on some of the territory that we're going to be experiencing next year. Saturn will go back into Aquarius in December, but it will start to get further into Aquarius into the middle of next year. But this full moon is interesting for one reason in particular. It makes what's called a square to Uranus. So if you've been following me, if you've been listening to some of the things that I've been saying over time, I'm like, hey, we can't forget that Uranus is in Taurus. It's been in Taurus since March of 2019. That might have been a big month for you. It was a big month for me. It was the month that I left my non-astrology day job to do this full time. It was the month that Uranus went into Taurus pretty much for the first time in 80 years. As you can imagine, that's a big deal. If you are a Taurus, if you are a Leo, if you are a Scorpio like me, or an Aquarius, you're in the midst of a tectonic shift. Your life as you knew it in 2018 is not going to be the life or the person or the relationship or how you express who you are. It's not going to be how it is in 2025, 2026. Why? Because astrology tells us what time it is. And astrology is telling us that there are times in our life when we can't remain stagnant. We can't remain stuck in the same place. We need a push. So you either work with that push, you could fight it, but if you fight it, it's the equivalent of trying to hold the tectonic plates together. I've used that example with a few clients lately, and I'm sure if you're watching, you're having a little chuckle right now. But you can't work against these forces. So you have to sort of surrender. You have to work with this process. My Tauruses, my Leos, my Scorpios, my Aquariuses, because you're sort of, the idea, if you work with this time, is to liberate yourself from the smallness of yourself. Now, you may be thinking, well, I'm not Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, etc. Nevertheless, there is a part of your life, depending on where Taurus is, that you are seeing a big shift. It just happens to be that these 4 signs are seeing it the most. So this full moon is a check-in with a story that began in March of 2019. Interesting, it's checking on my major story of betting on myself, of going out there and doing my passion, doing my dream, connecting with you all, That's the scariest thing I've ever had to do. I've had to do some scary things, but that's like the scariest thing I've ever had to do. So you might be feeling this time like this, maybe you're looking back and you're seeing the thread, because there's going to be points throughout the year, there's going to be points throughout the coming years until 2025, 2026, when sort of time threads its way through these different points, and we can see what Uranus was trying to do. Get us to move, get us to do something different, get us to be more who we really are. And that's something that's very much a part of this full moon today. You cannot force yourself into anybody else's life, anybody else's expectations, your families, your partners, your communities, because this is why, again, astrology teaches us what time it is. And there's going to be, for instance, age 42, 43, classic midlife crisis. Well, there's actually an astrological correlation to the midlife crisis. It's called the Uranus opposition. Uranus takes 84 years to go around the sun. So the halfway mark is about 42 to 43. And it's an age where we have to sort of have that like, oh, moment, like time's moving by quickly. I can't keep being this person if I'm not really this person, or being in this relationship if I'm miserable, or being in this job if it's not me. That we have to take that leap, or Uranus is going to kind of push us, because the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, for example, you can't fight them. You have to sort of work with them. You have to transform with them. You have to evolve with them. So I'm saying this to all of you, is if something is shaking up in your life, if you are being shown where you are sort of not being the real you, then how do you have the courage and bravery and the heart and the passion, Leo, to be the real you? Because there's only one you on this planet. As cheesy as that sounds, there's only one you. And a lot of you all do not know who you are. That's a common human condition. We do not know who we are. We sort of force ourselves into the expectations of others. So you have this really powerful full moon that's saying, like, who are you? Who do you think you are? What do you want to share with the world? Who in 2020 of all times are you going to be on this planet? Something that my spirit guide said to me at like February or March, March, when all this was starting to go down. They're like, you don't have the luxury to play small anymore. Like that's like it's like go time. So maybe this is what this full moon is saying, like you don't have the luxury to play small anymore. And I get it. That might be terrifying. You have to really get in touch with your heart during this Leo season. And if you're like feeling unmotivated, if you're feeling like you don't know, then let's go back. Let's look at Leo season. Leo's season is the time when we have to re-put that spark in. A lot of us, like we've been through a lot this year. Certainly there's a lot been going on. And maybe we're burnt out. Maybe we're tired. Maybe we're sad. Maybe we're depressed. This is when that spark can go out. But a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, I don't know where to go. I don't know what the path forward is. And I can absolutely give you my best assessment as an astrologer. But I always tell people, your body knows. Your body has this wonderful intelligence. I think that's another thing that's at the heart of Uranus and Taurus, because Taurus is the body. Taurus is like the physicality of life. It's very basic physicality of life. And if your body is like, I'm not happy, then what is your body trying to tell you? If your body is saying, do more of this, I'm happy, this makes me feel good. And I don't mean in some sort of indulgent way, but like your heart is open, your heart is singing, you've kind of found what fuels you and gives you passion and joy, then that's sort of your body is trying to show you, outside of the astrology, of course, which way is forward. We have to move towards the things that give us passion and joy. We need to maybe look at the situations, the environments, the relationships that are keeping us small. Because Uranus can be like a force of nature. I call it the coming out planet. You can't keep trying to be somebody that you're not. You can't suppress something that is so intrinsic to who you are. So this is a week where maybe we're coming out in some way. We're revealing ourselves in some way that we haven't revealed ourselves before. This is a week that with the full moon in Aquarius, the spotlight is on friendships. It's on community. It's on social, the social networks we're a part of. It's on science and technology. So we also have to look at who's around us. And especially after the pandemic, I realize it's still ongoing, like who's still around us? Maybe the people that were around us in February are not the people who are around us right now. So we have to have a very strong sense of who are our allies, who are our relationships, or who's going to be there for us during this time. And I think that's also going to be a theme that's going to wind its way through Saturn's time in Aquarius, when Saturn gets back to Aquarius on December 17th of this year. We need to get the people around us right now need to be rock solid. They need to be the people that you're like building a strong sense of life and connection with, even in the midst of all this uncertainty and turmoil. That said, I hope you're safe. I hope you're well. I'm not doing a lot of traveling at the moment. I'm not doing a lot of traveling at the moment, but I'm looking at the comments and I'm seeing some familiar faces, like hello, Leslie, Janet, Julie. Thank you so much. You guys are supporting and being a part of this live look at the astrology. But yeah, this is a big, we start this week off with a bit of a bang. Full moons, they create a sense of urgency. They create a sense of illumination. They create a sense of needing to make a decision. So maybe you are making a decision today or making a decision tomorrow, because the full moons, the influence is sort of a couple days before and a couple days after. This full moon also, by the way, like we already went through eclipse season, so this full moon sort of is taking us a little bit more into a narrative that began on June 21st when we had a solar eclipse in Cancer, which, a reminder, it means that over the next 6 months, so until the end of November, December, going into that solar eclipse in December of this year, we need to make sure we are having heart, Cancer, soul, emotional connection. We need to feel safe. We need to feel nurtured. That story is not going away. We're just kind of step by step going deeper into this process. And I was talking about how full moons are also decisions. Well, this full moon, Mercury, as it gets to the end of Cancer, makes what's called an opposition to Saturn. It does it today, Monday, August 3rd. So Mercury opposite Saturn is very classic. You have to make a decision. It's either a left or a right, an up or a down, but you can't keep going on the same direction. There's a sense of commitment, there's a sense of duty, there's a sense of knowing, hopefully having the wisdom of knowing right and wrong and like what the best choice is right now. But Saturn can sometimes be the cop, and Saturn wants us to have accountability with all of our choices and all of our words today. And this is something that's woven into the full moon. So this is a week where we have to have accountability. Pure and simple. I may have done this with last week's look, but I just want to do a quick go around the zodiac so you know what area this full moon is highlighting for you. If you are an Aries, this is highlighting friends, community, social networks, the future, looking ahead. So you have to make some decisions about your future and sort of who are your friends. Taurus, Aquarius is your career sign. So this is a typical time in your personal calendar when you might have a job change, or you might get a new job, or You need to make a decision on your professional direction or something about your professional life, but it is about the world. Right now, Taurus, the sun is in Leo, so you're at the sort of nesting, you're sort of focusing on home and family right now. But then you've got, sort of looking at your ambitions right now as well. Gemini. So this is the part of your chart that talks about faith, truth. Wait, that's not right. Am I going backwards? No, I was right. Sorry. Sometimes it's like dancing backwards and having to talk at the same time. It is about faith and truth and meaning. Gemini, you might be thinking after everything that you've been through, what does this all mean? Do you still have faith? Are you doing some soul searching? Gemini, you're still sort of at the tail end of a little bit of a heavy 2 to 3 year period. I know, hurrah, you're coming to the end of this heavy time, but it's really sort of had an influence and shaped how you have seen the world. And so you're sort of looking outward with this full moon. Typically this would be a time of foreign travel or long distance travel. That might be a little difficult at the moment, but you might be looking at the world in other ways. Cancer. So this is the part of the chart, and by the way, this is giving you a little bit of a preview of some of the deeper emotional and psychological work that you're going to be doing in 2021 and 2022. So this is a time when the light of the full moon is shining on the deepest parts of you, your shadow, your fears, your insecurities. It's a work that we all have to do at one point. We have to, whether it's once a year or for 2 years or 3 years or longer, we have to do that deep psychological work so we can evolve and transform. Otherwise we wouldn't. So this might be bringing up a lot of deep emotional stuff. It also might be bringing up things around money, finance, assets, loans, the money of a partner or other people's money, but it's about money and security at this time. Leo, happy birthday. Leo, what a crazy time to be celebrating a birthday. This full moon is in your relationship sign, so partners and other people are in the spotlight. So this is a natural time for you to connect with people. It might be a little bit interesting at the moment with the pandemic and everything, but you're connecting with people. Maybe a new relationship is coming in. Maybe you're having to make a decision about a relationship, but this is a part that's very highlighted. By the way, Leo, with Uranus and Taurus, you're in the midst of reinventing your career. So this might reverberate into your professional life. So pay attention to what's going on. Virgo. So this is a part of your chart that talks about health and wellness and how you take care of your body and the foods you eat and your overall kind of health and diet. And so you might have to shine that light on some very kind of basic day-to-day stuff. How are you taking care of your body? Do you need to do something differently? Do you need to get a doctor's appointment? Do you need to kind of navigate these times in a different way? Do you need to do more Zoom workouts or whatever works for you? But this is a time when you're sort of because Saturn is going to get to this sign at the very end of this year, and you're going to enter a 3-year period of needing to focus on your health. Use this wisely, use this proactively, take care of your body at this time. I don't know, you do you. Libra, so this is the part of your chart that talks about creativity, self-expression, your talents, really getting in touch with what makes you you. So this full moon sort of highlights your individuality and sort of fun and play and romance, but you might have to sort of look at maybe where you're being a little self-destructive or the things that can get in the way. What with Uranus over in what's called your 8th house. Scorpio, this is the part of your chart that talks about home and family and living situation. Maybe you're naturally preparing for a move or making a decision about where you're living, making changes in the home. This includes making either decorating or renovations or remodeling. That all fits within the wheelhouse. family members might need more of your attention at this time. This also may include deeper emotional connection. And with Uranus in your relationship sign, since 2019, new relationships might be coming in, or new people, or something that is changing or switching up how you connect to people, especially connect on an emotional level. After Scorpio is Sagittarius. So this is the part of your chart that talks about your voice, how you speak, how you communicate, how you're heard. So this is a time for broadcast, this is a time for writing, this is a time for learning, or very serious conversations, with Mercury opposite Saturn. But take your voice seriously, take your education seriously, take your choices seriously. Also siblings, neighborhood, anything, travel trips, that also might be highlighted as well. You might be making some short trips around. Stay safe, everybody. Moving on to Capricorn. So this is the part of your chart that talks about money, income, salary, how you earn a living, what do you value, what do you spend your money on. So this is a full moon that's highlighting your material life, your material needs, the resources at your availability. So you might be needing to make some decisions in the financial department. How do you create more material stability in your life? What do you need to do? What do you need to change? Do you need to change parts of yourself? I know, Capricorn, you're in the midst of a major transformation, which has been going on for quite some time. Aquarius, this is putting you in the spotlight. This is your full moon for this year. We get one every year. So this full moon is highlighting you. It's highlighting new beginnings. It's highlighting being in the spotlight, taking action. Sort of your life might be a little loud at the moment. Maybe all eyes are on you because the full moon is on you. But it's it is time for relationships. And Aquarius, this is a time when Uranus is in the part of your chart that there's maybe a move, maybe you've made a big move, maybe you're going to make a big move, but the home environment is changing right now, and this full moon is highlighting big changes in the foundation of your chart. Lastly, Pisces. So this is the part of your chart that highlights your blind spots, your unconscious, but it's also a part of the chart that's very spiritual. And so you might be needing to really look at your spiritual life, your spiritual health, meditation, connecting to spirit, source, God, whatever you want to call it. Maybe a time for recuperation and rest and retreat, and needing to also shed the past. And so it's about letting go of maybe the things that you've been previously attached to. Incidentally, because Leo is your health and wellness sign, this is a great full moon to let go of any addictions. So if this is a full moon that you want to stop doing something that's just not supporting you anymore, this is the full moon to let it go. So this is what the full moon is activating each of the 12 signs. So you would listen for your sun sign and listen for your rising sign. And I know I get this all the time, like, what's my rising sign? In order to know your rising sign, you need to have your exact birth time. There's apps, there's websites. Once you have that exact birth time, you can look up what's my rising sign, and then you'll know. And then you can read horoscopes or listen to horoscopes that are about both your sun sign and your rising sign, for example. So that's big news this week. Mercury goes into Leo on October, on August 4th. Mercury has been in Cancer since the very end of May. Mercury in Cancer has been a little interesting. I don't know, maybe you all feel differently. It's just been a very emotional and sensitive and impassioned. And there's good things in that, and there's maybe slightly annoying things in that, but it's just been the last 2 months. And now that Mercury has been getting to the end of Cancer, it's kind of been hitting these oppositions to the Capricorn planets. So it's just been a bit intense at the moment, but it goes into Leo, And Leo is about passion. It's about creativity. It's about your voice and sharing your voice and people hearing you. And so it might be a little bit behind the scenes because Mercury is behind the sun right now. So we might be doing that more on a inner level. Maddie says she's still crying. That's how I felt. That's not quite how I felt with Mercury and Cancer. It just felt like so much. Funny thing about Mercury and Cancer, and I mentioned this in my last update, it just feels very nostalgic, and I just was having these really intense memories, just not like bad memories, just random memories that felt crystal clear. And also watching a lot of 80s movies, because apparently I just need to watch some 80s movies from when I was a child and feel good about life again. But Mercury going to Leo is a much more of a celebration and fun and passion of Mercury. Then on the 7th, on August 7th, Venus goes into Cancer. What I find very interesting about this, apart from the fact that Venus has been in it's been in Gemini for 4 months since, I think, early April. It's going to be a change of kind of like some fresh air, a change of seasons for this week, because Venus is a personal planet. It's been so long. And Gemini, if you are a Libra, if you are a Taurus, you're going to feel this more. Also the cardinal signs of Capricorn. I just blanked on the other cardinal signs, Aries, and the other one, totally just blanking on the card, Cancer. And those might see some changes as well. But Venus is what we love. It's what we value. It's how we socialize, connect, partner with people. And Gemini is very flirty. It's very, it loves to chit chat, have relationships that are a little bit on the surface, but it's very playful. It's, wants to try everything. I like Venus and Gemini, but then Venus goes into Cancer, and now Venus wants to settle down. Venus wants a family. Venus wants a home. So our priorities are going to shift a little bit. Our relationships are going to shift a little bit. We want something a little more steady and stable. With Mercury getting to the very end of Gemini this week, the day before, on August 6th, it's going to make what's called a conjunction to the North Node. Pay attention to what's happening. I believe that's Wednesday. What's happening with relationships? Are there sort of people coming in that feel very faded? Because sometimes when planets hit the nodes, there's there's electricity, things are kind of happening out of the blue. We meet somebody that just has a great impact on us, or sort of sets itself out against the timeline of our life. So that happens. Then Venus goes into Cancer, and then when it goes into Cancer, it's going to activate the June 21st solar eclipse. So I have my eye on Venus sort of activating that eclipse to see if there's any sort of connection back to events that were happening in the end of June with the eclipse. Also this week, Mars starts to make a series of squares to the planets that are currently hanging out, camping out in Capricorn. First, it's going to make a square to Jupiter on, I believe, the 4th of August. And Mars and Jupiter, it's we have to really take some leaps of faith. We have to be aligned with things. Sometimes we can overdo it with Mars and Jupiter. We sort of think something's going to work out and work out great. And then Jupiter we overshoot the mark. So we need to sort of be careful that we're being a little too enthusiastic or overconfident right now. But it does talk about how do we align our actions better to some of the things that are happening right now. A lot's happening right now. And then later, next week, Mars will make what's called a square to Pluto. Next week it's intense. We have a lot of physical energy that needs an outlet, some exercise. And then going into the 24th of August, Mars will make a square to Saturn. So these are some intense energies that we're going into later this month. But Mars in Aries has been quite interesting. Mars is going to be in Aries until January 6th. Normally, it's only in a sign for 6 weeks. It's going to be 6 months. It's been in Aries since the end of June. Also, this week, I think that's like pretty much it. I'm like looking at my notes, trying to remember. But those are like the big things for this week. Just kind of see how things shake out with the full moon. The full moon was already exact. It was exact at 11:59 a.m. New York. This would have been don't even have my notes. This was 8:59 a.m. in Los Angeles. This was 4:59 p.m. in London. This was 1:59 a.m. in Sydney on August 4th and 3:59 a.m. in Auckland on August 4th. So those are the big highlights this week. Yes, full moon, things are moving and shaking. Now you know what part of your life is being activated. So of course you can learn more. You can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram. I'm Empowering Astro. You can read my website, empoweringastrology.com. I'm on Twitter. You can listen to this on IGTV, on Spotify, on YouTube, of course. You can also book a consultation with me. Some of you are my clients. Just go to empoweringastrology.com/booking. All of these links are also in the show notes as well. Also, your August 2020 horoscopes. You can get a little bit of a bigger picture. You can subscribe to my mailing list because I do put out a newsletter every Monday. So that's the look at this week's astrology. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you for watching the replay, and we will do this again next week. Take care. Bye.